Regardless of where your health is now, it can get better. Today we're going to discuss how. Hi, I'm Dr. Christensen and welcome to my office. Today we're going to complete the discussion that we started last time in our last video on health. What we're calling this is our path to optimal health. The diet that we went over last time, the LAW diet or longevity and wellness diet, fits within this plan or this pathway. One of the things that you need to understand is there's a big difference between lifespan and health span. Medical science has done a good job really in increasing the lifespan of many people. However, often it's at the compromise of their health span. A health span is defined as how long you have reasonably good health so that you could enjoy the quality of your life. And so what we're interested in is increasing the health span. There have been some longevity studies done, most notably the Blue Zone by Dan Butner, the Longevity Plan by John Day, and Healthy at 100 by John Robbins. These all look at villages or tribes or groups of people who have incredibly long lifespans as well as a long health span, meaning that they're living well into their old age, into their hundreds, with a very, very active and high quality of life. The important thing that you need to understand is that we start from where we are. Regardless of your level of health right now, it can improve if you follow some of these principles that we're going to be talking about. We talked a little bit earlier about blood chemistry and how it's the gold standard for determining what's going on, but rather than looking at the normal ranges of blood chemistry as far as the parameters for health, we want to look at a tighter range, which is an optimal range. And so we do that with our functional blood chemistry analysis, and that's something that's important to give us a baseline of where we are and what we need to do. We talked about the observational analysis. We had 2 videos on how to look at your fingernails, look at your tongue, look at your skin to determine what nutritional deficiencies might be present. Another important thing that we look at is what we call functional movement and physical fitness. It's one thing to be physically fit, and many of us can achieve physical fitness, but often at the detriment to our health. Our goal is health. Health, by my definition, is vitality. It's feeling good. It's having enthusiasm for life. It's not just being pain-free, but it's being able to have a good quality of life that has meaning and purpose for you and those that you love and care for. I would encourage you to watch our previous video on diet. And so there's a plan that we've put together based on the longevity studies that I think is very, very good. There are certain rules and guidelines. Again, with anything, we don't need to be neurotically precise about everything, but we want to develop a lifestyle or a habit or a pattern where we eat whole natural foods. One of the tenets of the diet that I will touch on right now is something that's practiced in the villages of Okinawa, Japan, where they stop eating when they're 80% full. And this will take some practice, but we find that if you stop eating before you're full, and you give your body 10-15 minutes, the brain catches up and you'll be satisfied. And so too often in our culture, we tend to eat until we can't eat anymore, and quite honestly, we eat way too much. The other concept that you may want to incorporate is intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting is basically going for about 16, it could be 12, but 16 hours without eating, which translates to meaning that you stop eating the night before at 8 p.m. and you skip breakfast and you don't eat till 12 noon the next day. That's 16 hours. And so we have 8 hours during the day that we eat. We have 16 hours that we don't eat. And if you're trying to lose weight, you can do that twice during the week. If you want to just maintain, having a fast once a week really is a good idea, and it does promote health. it's not only important what you eat, but it's important what you avoid or what you don't eat. And so it's important to avoid toxins. It's toxins are in our culture today are found in the form of preservatives. It's found in the form of foods that are manipulated, either chemically or mechanically, where they're not going to be as good. We want to eat whole natural foods. One of the big dangers that we're seeing in our culture today is the GMO, or genetically modified foods, that absolutely do cause harm. And so there's been a lot written about it. And so I encourage people to shop. If you're going to be buying something that's not in the produce section, or if it's in a box or a bag or a can, check the labels and avoid those foods that are produced with GMO ingredients. You'll look at the stickers and see that it's GMO free or non-GMO. The other thing that we want to emphasize is organic. And there are a lot of foods that have been sprayed with pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, insecticides, things that we don't want in our body. The primary culprit in our culture today is glyphosate or Roundup, and it's found in so many of our foods. And there are actually tests that you can do. You can do a urine test and determine how much Roundup or glyphosate you have in your body. Kind of scary. We're finding that people that get away from the GMO foods, they get away from the glyphosate or the pesticide-laden foods, see great improvements in health as far as fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue. We see improvements with autism, ADD, ADHD, OCD, all these syndromes that are being traced back to contamination or poisoning, if you will. The next thing that we emphasize is keeping hydrated. And the classic rule is 8 glasses of water a day, but you need to understand it depends on what you're eating. If you're eating dry crackers all day long, then yeah, you're going to need more water. But if you're having soup, if you're having watermelon, if you're having water-rich foods, you may not need to drink that much. And so the point is to keep hydrated. One way to know that you're getting a little bit dehydrated is your lips will start to dry out, and that's often the first sign. You'll be thirsty, the lips will dry out. You can pinch the back of your hand and see how quickly the skin retracts. If it retracts very, very quickly, chances are you're not dehydrated. If it takes a longer time, maybe you are. This can be a little bit tricky, however, because age plays a factor. The older you are, the less elastic your skin is going to be. The next concept that we talk about is breathing. We don't breathe enough. We don't breathe deep enough. Many people don't exercise to the point where they're breathing, they're panting real hard. And so 2 or 3 times a day, take a moment just to take 6 or 7 real deep breaths. Breathe in deep as you can, hold it for 3 or 4 seconds, exhale, hold it out for 3 or 4 seconds, and do that several times. There's a gentleman named Wim Hof. I believe he's from the Netherlands, who teaches some breathing techniques that are very effective in keeping the circulation going. One way to tell if you're getting enough oxygen by looking at your fingernails is looking at those little moons on your fingernails. And you should have, again, at least 8 of them. Those who regularly do deep breathing will develop those, and that's what we want to see. So it's important to get enough oxygen into your system. The other thing that's important is exercising. And one of the misconceptions about exercise is that we need to exercise hard and vigorously, and the harder and the longer, the better. However, we're finding that that's really not true. And so we find that the endurance athletes actually are not increasing their health or their longevity. And so in being someone who's run many marathons and even an ultra marathon, having to admit that that's probably not the best for us. And so the definition of exercising, we should have some moderate movement or activity throughout the day for at least 90 minutes. If it's more vigorous, you can exercise for 45 minutes during the day. But I tell my patients that it's important that you exercise to the degree that when you're finished, you feel like you could have done more. And so not best to be crawling up the steps to your house thoroughly exhausted by the time you're done exercising. One movement that started in Japan is called slow jogging. And literally that's what it is. You can look it up online, and you're just putting along, slow jogging. It requires a little more energy than walking, but you're getting a nice exercise. It's going to increase your metabolism. You're going to lose weight, and you're not going to overtax yourself. And so the point is slow jogging. There was a study done that was very interesting, and they looked at some hotel cleaning women, and they all seemed to be overweight, and they took half of these women and they set them aside, and they said, we just want you to understand, with all the up and down, pushing the cart, flipping mattresses, everything that you're doing all day long, you're getting more than enough exercise according to the U.S. standards. And so that's all they did. They just told them that. They checked on them again in 3 or 4 months. They weighed them, they measured them, and they'd found that the group that they had talked to had all lost weight. They'd all decreased in their waist size. And I think the reason is, mentally, when they got home, they realized that I don't need to go out and exercise or feel guilty about it. I've already exercised enough. And so, again, that moderate exercise, moving throughout the day, is important. The problem is, of course, too many of us we get in the car and we drive to work, we sit at a desk all day, we drive home, we're tired at the end of the day, we sit in front of the TV, and we're not getting much exercise at all. And so again, it doesn't need to be going to the gym, it needs to be moving, and preferably something that you enjoy. Another factor that's important is getting enough sunshine. The sun really is healing, and so getting enough sunshine, the sunshine when it hits the skin converts the cholesterol or the oils on the skin into vitamin D, which can then be absorbed or cause the calcium to be absorbed into the bloodstream. And of course we need the healthy fats to take the calcium out of the blood and into the cell. And so there's a relationship between vitamin D and calcium and the healthy fats, the omega-3 fats. And so again, getting enough sunshine, being outside, and that should and could be incorporated with your exercise. Sleep and restoration is another factor. We need to sleep. Most adults need between 7 and 9 hours every night, and that's good sleep. And so if you're not getting good sleep, we've got some great things that we can help you with here, as far as some herbs and some nutritional supplements that can make a difference. We'll do another video on sleep and restoration of the body, but getting enough sleep is important. It needs to be a priority, and quite frankly, most people are sleep deprived. We need to create a balance in life, and so a balance in life means that we take time to rest and relax. We take time, if you will, to sharpen your saw, and so it doesn't need to be go. We find those of us that are just on hit the floor running when we get out of bed and collapse there at night, we're not as effective as we ought to be. And so temperance or balance in life is important. One of the most important skills or tools that we use that can give us a good, healthy life and longevity is what we call social connections. There's been a lot of research done showing that good social relations will make us healthy. They'll improve our memory. They'll improve our sense of well-being. We'll be happier. We'll be healthier. We'll live longer. We know that loneliness, whether it's real or perceived, is actually very, very unhealthy for us. To the degree, in terms of longevity, the person who perceives or is lonely doesn't have the social connections, then they define it scientifically as having 3 good friends that you can talk to. Those people, longevity-wise, it's equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day or being 50 to 100 pounds overweight, which when I first read that, I thought that was crazy. So the overweight smoker is going to live longer than the athletic, super good, healthy eating person who doesn't have friends or is kind of a loner. And so, again, social connections really is important. We find that the people who are most satisfied with their relationships at 50 are the healthiest at 80. And so I just had a newsletter put out. If you're watching this, you may go to our blog, drkylechristensen.blogspot.com, and read about the social connections. Having friends really does need to be a priority, whether those friends are part of your blood relations and family or not. We need to have good relationships, and so that's something that's important. Again, whether you get together with a common interest or purpose, a Bible study group, a sports activity group, just going for a walk with somebody on a regular basis. Again, it's that connections over and over again. Do something nice for somebody, and as you reach out, you will find that you'll be making friends. And chances are it's not going to be the friends that you think you were going to be making. But again, as we extend ourselves, sending a text message, see those that respond to you and foster and encourage good, healthy relationships. And if somebody is not responsive, that's okay. Move on. But as we develop friends and close relationships, we're healthier and we're happier. The other thing that I think is important is we need to celebrate. We need to have parties, and sometimes the party can be just a short thing. In the scriptures, I think it's in Luke chapter 15. It talks about three different parables. They're the lost and found parables, the parable of the lost sheep, the parable of the lost coin, and the prodigal son. And each of these end the same way, with a celebration, with a party. It's interesting. The woman lost this coin. She had 10 coins. She lost one. She searched. She couldn't find it. Finally, she finds it, and she calls her friends in to rejoice with her, to, in essence, had a party. And I suspect she probably spent more money on the party than the cost of the lost coin that she lost. But the issue is we need to celebrate. One of my patients, commented that they sometimes will have a one-song dance. And so they'll celebrate, they'll dance, and be done with it. The point is we need to do that. Sometimes in our home, we typically you can't find the car keys, and finally they're found usually after a prayer, and we celebrate. And our celebration may look like everybody going to the kitchen. We each get a spoon. We go to the freezer and we get a bite of ice cream. And that's it. That's a quick, short celebration. But again, we make that shift in our lives to where we rejoice, we celebrate, we experience the increase in the dopamine and their serotonin, those feel-good hormones by a quick celebration, if you will. And then finally, we talk about spirituality. Those that live the longest, those that live the healthiest, are connected spiritually, and they have a spiritual devotion in their life. They understand, the subtle feelings that we get in our heart, those tender feelings. We study, sacred literature. We pray. We commune with each other's on a more spiritual level, and we find that connecting spiritually is important. One way to do that is meditation, and meditation can be done in many different ways, but in essence it's quieting your mind, it's being still, if you will, and that's what we're after. And so when we look at health, really there's much more to it than just eating right. It really is a lifestyle. And if you look at our plan that we've developed, and we've got it online for you to make a copy of, or you could ask us here at the office. You look at these different tenets and these different principles, and you slowly begin incorporating them in your life. And I think the best place to start is the social. And so, share with those that you care about your desire to be healthy. Get them on board with you. Invite them over for dinner. The more we can talk, the more we can communicate, the more we could share our goals and our desires to be not only healthy but happy. That's really what it's about. It's the quality of life that's important. It's not just taking the right supplements. It's not just eating the right foods, although those may be important. But it's that overall quality that we enjoy. And so that's what we've got for you today. Spend some time with our LAW diet and our path to optimal health. I think these will bless your life. Share them with the friends, and we'll see you next time.